Alright, so the quarterly sprint video for fall 2017. Let's go way back to the beginning of the quarter. At the beginning, we had planned to be making a technology that can detect different learning processes for different behaviors when you're coding, and then praising those individual behaviors. So we built this tech here that you can see. This is something that I was working on, and then the undergrad team was also using it for their test bed, but it was a web-based editor where you can have different problems and you can code in the editor here, and then run it down here. And the idea was that we had a lot of control over a web-based editor, so we're going to use this in order to test to see if we can detect metrics. When we were realizing this, we started making our taxonomy of programming behaviors. So in making the taxonomy, we needed this in order to know which metrics to pick. But when making the taxonomy, we really realized how difficult that was to do, how challenging of an issue it was to understand this taxonomy and what as the different things that you could be praising in learning behaviors. This didn't really exist in literature, and so we were building it ourselves. So after that, with this issue, we realized we don't even know if these learning behaviors are the right learning behaviors to impact mindset. We hadn't thought about the fact that these different processes, we think they'll impact mindsets, but we don't know. So that brought us back to thinking about how different types of feedback impact mindset, which is then where we went back to our Visual Code Studio extension, which I don't have in front of me here. But basically, the idea was if we could praise people while they're coding, then we could collect data throughout the semester. However, we realized that knowledge quite wasn't there yet, and we didn't even know if praising people in computer science would work if you did it right after they programmed, or if you really needed to do it during it, which is what led us to what we're doing right now, which is running a replication study of some of Mueller and Dweck's work. And what we're doing is we're taking a study that was run with fifth graders in math and replicating it in the computer science domain with undergraduates. Because we're changing domains, there are a number of different things and factors that we need to alter, which makes the study very interesting, and we're not actually sure what we're going to see. I am hypothesizing actually that we're going to get a null result and that there won't be any differences in the different types of feedback that we'll give, which means that we'll have to do a more invasive intervention, which I think is what we wanted to get to eventually anyways, but this will give us the foundational work saying that that is actually required. So now we are doing a study collecting that information. We don't have the findings yet, but in terms of what worked for the study, setting it up happened really fast. I think by the time that although it took us so long to realize that we needed to do this study, I think by the time that we got there, it was like I was in the place where I had read enough of the literature and I was really understanding the problem well enough to understand what we need to do to run this study. And there are some things that are difficult, for example, not knowing racket and getting the right people, and limitations of time because we're running up against the end of the quarter. However, I do think that the study is going really well, and I'm very excited to see the results over break. Going to some overarching things over the quarter, I think this quarter was filled with a lot of different personal growth, specifically around, we were talking about the literature for this study and how I felt like now that the quarter to go out and get here, but now I really understand the literature. I think it's just not just understanding the literature, but understanding how we're making contributions that speak to both psychology, learning sciences, and computer science. When I started the project, I feel like I was able to understand how we could contribute to the interaction of computer science and learning sciences, and maybe psychology, but I don't think I really understood how you have to think about this problem in order to appeal it to a computer science professor or a learning science faculty member individually. And that's really important because when we're speaking to these groups, we're not necessarily speaking only to the overlap, we're speaking to the group as a whole. And so you're going to get a lot of people who are listening to your project who aren't thinking about the overlap and are just thinking about psychology or just thinking about learning sciences. And so I think I've thought about not just how to speak about it to the groups individually, but also understanding better how somebody who is from one of those individual groups is listening and what they're hearing from what I'm saying. And that really helps me understand what I need to say in order for them to get behind the project. On a larger goal, sprint planning was really good. It was very helpful in motivating me and also in making sure I was getting things done and thinking about progression. I think there's obviously things that need to be improved, because thinking about sprint planning, sometimes you don't always plan the right things, and I'm getting good at backlogging a lot of things. I can show you my sprint plans. Like, a lot of them do have a decent amount of things backlogged in them, which is good because it means I was reflecting on what I was doing. However, as you've seen, the last sprint with running the study, it kind of got out of hand in terms of making sure I was updating the sprint and more focused on making sure the study was running, which has been successful, and I haven't lost anything, so that's been great. But you'll see that there's been a decent number of stories that I planned and ended up not being the right thing to do at the time, which is good, but I think that there is still more things that I think I did that I really didn't need to do. Tech-wise, so I talked a little about the first thing that I made, talked a little about the VS Code extension. The other interesting tech thing that I did was a data logging extension, both for VS Code and for Python. That one I think is really exciting. I think I'm going to learn a lot. I learned a lot from building that. I think that was a great experience, and I think we're going to actually use that code next quarter, which is going to be really great to see it being put into work. Also on top of feedback, I wrote that there because I wanted to talk a little bit about Noah commenting on how I was getting better at feedback, and I think that was also related to understanding what the people are hearing when I'm speaking. And so, like, I think I didn't understand how people were learning about learning sciences. You think about how people take the knowledge that they have and combine it with the knowledge that they already have existing in their head. And I think I didn't realize how people would be doing that when they were listening to my project versus just listening to it from fresh and scratch. But really, they're thinking about what I'm saying and combining it with the things that they already know. And so when they do that, it's really important for me to think about the background that they have in order to make sure that I'm saying the right things. And now back to the study. I think that the study is going well. I think it's collecting the data. I'm bringing a lot of people. It's not easy. Things have been difficult. It's been hard to make it consistent and believable. And acting has been actually like a surprisingly challenging part of the study. Working with undergrads has been frustrating, and I have to keep that under control because I'm sitting here very early in the morning waiting for my undergrad to show up, who volunteered to come in. So I think that there are some frustrating things about it, but I'm collecting the data. Hopefully I'll have enough to prove some results, and I'm getting really excited about what we can do with this. And it was really exciting to do my first study and have a result from it. Also, I think it's not related to DTR, but in 403 I was working on writing it up and writing a proposal for this study, which writing about the study made it so that I even more understood why and how I'm doing it. It's almost like when you talk about teaching a subject, makes it so that you understand that subject even better. Well, writing about this subject and the study made me understand and think about the study in a different way, which has been really helpful and important. So overall, the problem motivation is that I want to help computer science novices believe in their ability to program and believe in that they put effort in, they will succeed, which will help people persist in the major and not want to drop out. The research questions is how can we use feedback in order to change people's mindsets. And I think I talked about the rest of the things throughout this video. So thank you. And it was a great quarter. I'm excited to keep moving forward, hopefully. So what's next? After running the study, this summer I'll be evaluating the results, doing some data analysis on the findings. After that, I will likely be running a study where I am understanding how if you give feedback messages while people are coding, how that impacts their mindset. Unfortunately, next quarter I'm going to be taking a lot of classes, so we'll have to see how that fits in with the classes. All right, that's it for fall 2017. Thank you.